this course is going to be an introduction to how Amazon FBA works, how you can get started, and just to give you a ton of information about whether or not you think this might be a business model for you, because we've seen so much success from this program. We know it works. The blueprint's there, and this is going to introduce that. It's going to be very exciting, and I really am so excited for you to be here. So what is Amazon FBA? Well, FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon FBA, and essentially what it is Amazon does a lot of the work on your behalf. And what I mean by that is, one of the hard parts with growing an e-commerce business is, if you get 2 orders a day, well, what you have to do is you have to process it, right? You have to take it down to UPS or FedEx. You'd have to, put it in a box. You'd have to label it. You'd have to pay for shipping. You'd have to ship it out. And that becomes really laborious and tiring and difficult to do once you start getting more than, 1 or 2 orders a day. We've had days where we sold over 1,000 products, in a single day, with my Amazon business. And so it'd be next to impossible to actually handle that scale and not get things confused and be able to ship things out on time. And that is where Amazon comes in, because Amazon allows you to actually, as a third-party seller, right, which actually represents over 50% of Amazon sales, they allow you to take advantage of their fulfillment network and their fulfillment resources, where you can actually buy products in bulk, from China, from a USA manufacturer, from wherever. You might buy 500 units or 1,000 units for $2 each. Ship them into an Amazon FBA warehouse in the USA, right, directly from China, straight to Amazon. You never see or touch any of your products, right? This will all make sense later on. But you can ship it directly from your manufacturer into Amazon. And then Amazon, every time you get a sale from customers that are already browsing Amazon for your product, every time you get a sale, Amazon actually does all of the fulfillment for you. They grab your product, they put it in a box, they put the label on, they ship it out, they handle all of that. And they just literally send you your profit. And so that is why Amazon FBA has been such an amazing process, because it just works, right? And you don't have to do a lot of the work. You can do it from anywhere in the world. And it's just a really amazing way to actually get started making some passive income online. So there are 2 different types of plans, for Amazon FBA. But essentially, Amazon takes a 15% referral fee for you having access to millions and millions of Amazon's customers, right? The last I heard, over 82% of households have an active Amazon Prime membership, which is insane, right? 82% of households in the United States have an Amazon Prime membership. So you can sign up for free as an individual seller, right? You pay a per unit cost every time you sell something, or you can join as what's called a professional seller, where I believe you pay $39.99 a month. And then you don't have any per unit fees. So if you're just getting started, you can sign up as an individual seller. You can always switch it to a professional seller later on once you have some inventory and things like that. So that way you're not paying, any money while you're waiting for your units to actually ship in. You can sign up as an individual and always change it later on. You can sign up just with your own, as a person with your social security number and things like that if you want to, or you can sign up with what's called an LLC, which is a business. All right, what is up, y'all? So this video is going to be about examples of perfect products to sell on Amazon, and I'm going to explain exactly why they're perfect, right? Because it's very important to understand and be able to conceptualize and picture why these products are perfect to sell on Amazon, kind of in your mind, so that every time you actually evaluate kind of an opportunity, with Amazon FBA and when you're doing product research, whether or not you can kind of go through these steps in your head and say, okay, is this going to be a perfect product, right? So, a great example is scrunchies. Scrunchies probably couldn't be any cheaper to create. I would guess that this is literally a piece of rubber with a very small amount of velvet or whatever it is. They're selling it for $10. I can't imagine this being more than 10 cents to create, if that, especially if you're ordering in bulk. And then, another thing that I like to think about is, of course, cost, right? But then breakability. You could probably package this in an envelope, and you could throw it against the ground 100 billion times, and literally it would not break. And then cost of shipping, right? So scrunchies are incredibly cheap, incredibly light. The cost of shipping would be nothing, whether it's by air or by sea. Shipping by sea, the weight doesn't matter as much, but shipping by air, the weight does matter, right? So sea is just volumetric. So if you're shipping, a blown up beach ball, it's going to be the same cost as if you're shipping, 20 bowling balls for the most part. But with air shipping, if you have incredibly light stuff, you can restock faster, especially if you have things that are very small, non-breakable, and extremely light, like scrunchies, for example, so you can maximize your profit margin. Another one that is a great idea, or was a great idea at a certain time, right? All the things that I'm showing now obviously are not the perfect products to sell now. I can't obviously reveal the perfect products to sell now, but these are a perfect example of a product that would be extremely giftable. I love gift products, gift style products for a couple of reasons. When you get a gift from someone, society has told us that it's taboo to return that gift. And so the return rates for gift items or giftable items is significantly lower than the return rate of, say, like an electronic item that people can't figure out, or they don't know how to use, or, it might break in transit and not work correctly, or, whatever the case may be. But if it's a giftable product, right, it's not going to be like that. And this is a product that I've actually sold before, Scratch Off World Map, and we were selling like, $30,000 or more a day, for all of December last year. And now like the overall kind of niche is much more saturated, and it's, not a great product to get into at this point. But when we got into it, it was an incredible product to get into. And we were selling, just silly numbers, in December, because everyone and their mother and their uncle and their aunt was buying somebody a Scratch Off map. And so that's the perfect example of a product that we are not going to restock. We're just going to let it sell itself out during this Q4 and during this December, and then we're never going to restock it. But we'll just make a stupid amount of money again this year, just like we did last year. So another example, right? These costs are like $1 to create if you're buying them in bulk. Sometimes like $1.70 or so to actually get it landed in the United States. And most of them are selling for, some of them are selling for $30, right? So a product that costs $2 that sells for $30, you're selling it for essentially over 15 times more than it actually costs to create. So it gives you a lot of kind of wiggle room when it comes to PPC, when it comes to, having really nice photos done and things like that. And the larger profit margin you can have, obviously, is better because it allows you to like make, smarter decisions about things, and that's always a good thing. So the ultimate example of the perfect Amazon FBA product at one point, right? It has the passion, it has the love. Right, people are not concerned about price when they're buying a wedding ring replacement, a silicone ring. Right, they're not concerned with price. Even though if you think about it, this probably costs a cent to make. This is literally a tiny piece of rubber. It's not breakable at all. Right, it literally has love and intrinsic meaning and emotional meaning. When people are buying things for their spouse, people that they love, their price sensitivity is incredibly low. This is definitely like a birthday present for dad, or a gift for uncle, or, whatever, I guess a gift for husband, or whatever the case may be, right? And it's literally tiny. You could fit probably 100,000 of these into like a carton, if depending on how you packaged it. It literally is never going to break. It weighs probably less than an ounce, less than a gram, or whatever it is, right? It weighs nothing, very non-breakable, costs nothing to make, has that intrinsic value, has that emotional connection, meaning, and has the giftability, right? So this is like the perfect product to sell on Amazon FBA. So I just wanted to show you guys, 3 examples of perfect products to sell on Amazon FBA. So you can kind of get yourself in the mindset, okay, giftable, non-breakable, very light to ship, right? Has like that emotional meaning or connection. A lot of these things can play in, and that's not to say that every product has these. I have a friend who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a month selling copper pans on Amazon FBA, which literally is like heavy, big, has no gift meaning or not much of a gift meaning. There's no emotional connection to a copper pan depending on who you are, right? But he still makes a ton of money. So, think outside the box, but this is the general kind of thought process that I like to kind of put people in to really get the ball rolling. We're going to go through the entire Amazon FBA lifecycle. Part 1, where we start, right? The beginning of the whole process is product research. Doing product research, finding a product that has, good revenue, that has between $7,000 and $30,000 a month revenue, generally is a good range. If it's slightly outside that, that's okay, right? But remember, refer back to the 5 steps of product research. Product research is part 1. You want to find something with, relatively high revenues, relatively low amounts of actual reviews, so there's not too much competition. You want to find something that is not trademarked, something that has a relatively high number of monthly searches, and something that you've actually verified is getting sales using the iTrack 999 cart trick method. And remember, you can rewatch all of Module 1. If any of that didn't make sense, as many times as you want. There's never any reason to feel overwhelmed because I got your back. So after you do product research, the next part is you identify manufacturers, and we go over that in Module 2, how to find the best manufacturers in the world, and then how to get the highest quality with the lowest possible cost. We go over a lot of different strategies to really, leverage multiple manufacturers against each other so that you get the best possible value. Once you identify your manufacturer, you want to get a shipping quote from your freight forwarder, right? And again, in Module 2, we introduce the best freight forwarders, the cheapest freight forwarders in the world. They're going to take care of your products and actually make sure that they get from your manufacturer into an FBA warehouse safely. Then you want to have your packaging and logo created. Again, we go over exactly how to do that in the course. Once you have your packaging and logo created, you want to order a sample of your product from the manufacturer that you end up choosing, right? And you want to make sure that the sample that you order is a completed sample, right? That the manufacturer makes the product itself. They also make the packaging with your logo on it. So it really does look how a final product would look. And a lot of people make this mistake where they order just a sample of the product instead of a final sample. And you want to make sure everything is perfect, that the packaging looks good, that they include your all the things that they should include on the packaging, that the product looks good, that it's high quality. And then once you have that product sent to you, that sample sent to you, then you can do product photography, right? You can either send it to yourself or you can send it to a product photographer. If you want to take those images yourself, you can. I definitely recommend using a professional service, which we talk about later on in the course. Again, every step of this entire process we go through in detail. I just wanted to kind of give you a summary up front so you understand that it's actually not that hard, it's not that overwhelming, and it's very, very feasible to do, which is why so many of our students have had so much success doing this. Then you want to create an optimized product listing. So a product listing is nothing more than what you see on Amazon every single day, right? Nothing crazy at all. So once you actually order your sample, get the product photography and create the optimized listing, what you're going to do is you are going to place an order, right? Once you get the sample, the quality looks good, the packaging looks good, everything looks good, then it's time to actually place an order with your manufacturer. And when you first do that, you pay a 30% down payment. So let's say that, you want to order 1,000 units, the total cost is $1,000, just for math being easy, then you would pay 30% of $1,000, right? The total amount you'd pay is $1,000, but for the down payment, you would only pay $300 or 30% of $1,000. That gets manufacturing started, that gets the whole process started, right? And it's basically you giving a good faith to your manufacturer saying, okay, I'm gonna give you 30%, you make it all, and then once it's done, and once I've inspected it, and once it's all good, then I'll give you the final 70%. So when you place your 30% down payment, you want to make sure that you do that on PayPal. You want to use goods and services, and you want to populate that payment with a credit card. And again, remember, we're going to go through all of this in detail in the later modules. Don't worry at all. We're going to go through everything step by step. I just wanted to give you a holistic look. And then once you get the 30% down payment, they make all the units, and then when the manufacturing is completed, you get an inspection service, right? You can get inspection services for $99, super cheap. A third-party company comes in China, looks at all of the units, make sure that they're all completely good, that the quality is high, that everything looks perfect, and then once that final inspection passes, then you pay the manufacturer the final 70%, and everything is good to go, right? Once you pay that 70%, you tell your freight forwarder, which is the company that handles all the shipping, that everything's good. The freight forwarder picks it up from the manufacturer in China, and they actually ship it over to the prep center in the USA. One thing that's important to understand, which we're going to explain more in Module 2, is what's called FOB. FOB, right, or FOB shipping, basically means freight on board. If your manufacturer themselves are going to ship the products from the floor of the manufacturer once they're completed to the port in China, then the manufacturer is going to charge you a fee to do that, right? Because they're handling that element of the shipping. If you want to just make it super easy, just tell the manufacturer, no, once the products are complete, my freight forwarder will pick them up from the factory and then take them all the way to the FBA warehouse in the United States. If you'd rather get a freight on board quote, which means that the manufacturer is going to ship them from the manufacturer to the port in China, and then your freight forwarder is going to take over, then you would pay the manufacturer a very small fee to handle that small amount of shipping from the factory in China to the port in China, right? But again, to simplify things, once your products are actually completed, then just say, hey, freight forwarder, my products are done, they're at this factory, but they need to go to this warehouse. handle it, right? Shipping is something that I never want to deal with. So that's why I found the best freight forwarders in the world. That's why I share them with you. And that's why they can handle all of this for the best prices in the entire world. So once you inform the freight forwarder of the completed order, the product is sent to the FBA prep center, and then, there's things like PPC and product giveaways, but those are good things, right? That means that your product is actually selling. That means that everything is going good. That means you're getting your product from obscurity to page one, using services like Songbase, using services like Page Oneify, all of which we talk about in the course. And now, congratulations, you are officially an Amazon seller making sales. So yay, again, I wanted to make this for you guys to make it super simple. Product research, find a manufacturer, get a quote from the freight forwarder to ship your products from your manufacturer to the USA. You have your packaging, your logo created. You order a sample to make sure everything looks good. Once you have that sample, you have a product photographer take beautiful pictures of it. You create an optimized listing. Once you get your sample, everything's good. Then you place an order with your manufacturer. You pay 30% down payment to get everything started. Once your manufacturer is done manufacturing everything, then you get an inspection to make sure all the units look good. You pay the final 70%. Once everything's done, you've paid, your freight forwarder picks it up from your manufacturer in China, gets it to the FBA warehouse in the United States, and then you are now officially an Amazon seller, ready to start making sales. This video is going to be about, should you borrow money to be able to actually expand your business faster? And the answer normally, guys, is it depends on you, right? Like, I'm very responsible with my credit cards. I financed my entire Amazon FBA business using credit cards when I first started. But it depends on you, right? If you're not good at managing finances and things like that, then maybe a credit card doesn't make sense. Maybe it only makes sense to use the money that you currently have. But for most people, right, I think it makes a huge amount of sense to actually use financing and borrow money if you do it in the right way, right? The best way by far to actually do this is by using what's called a 0% APR credit card. So you see right here, the annual percentage rate, 0% intro for 15 months from account opening on purchases. This means that you can use as much of, if let's say they give you a $5,000 limit, that means that they will give you essentially a $5,000 loan for 15 months for $0, right? For zero cost, no interest, literally telling you that for the first 15 months, you can spend 100% of the money that they allow you to have to borrow, right? And you'll pay zero interest. That is a very, very good deal. It's very, very hard to find in the real world. And this is an incredible card also because you get unlimited 1.5% cash back. That means if you spend $100, right, you get $1.50 in cash back, and it starts to add up very quickly as you start to make larger and larger purchases. And you can, do all types of things. You can pay for your product photos with your credit card. You can pay the down payment for your actual product with your credit card. Sometimes you can even pay the 70% final payment with your credit card if you're using PayPal and you work out that you split the fees with your supplier, which we'll talk about in detail later on, right? This is the best possible way to borrow money and leverage yourself in a stronger way when you're actually starting on Amazon FBA, because usually the biggest restriction that I've heard from my students and that people have is availability of capital, right? If you had $10,000, $20,000, you could invest in more products, and the more products that you invest in, if you've done your due diligence, and you're actually putting in work and making sure that they're going to be a good product, the more good products that you invest in, the more money that you'll make faster. That's why I was able to make, over $1,000 a day pretty much instantly when I started Amazon FBA, because I invested in multiple products at once rather than just buying one product and, it taking 1 to 3 months for it to actually arrive in an Amazon warehouse and be able to be sold, right? So I was more impatient. I had a lot of confidence in myself, and I didn't have a course or anything like that. If I had this course, I would have put my whole life savings into products, and I would have made, a 7-figure business in my first 6 months. So this is what I recommend for sure. If you're not in the USA or you have terrible credit or can't get approved for this particular card, right? This is my number one recommendation, no question. That's it, right? If you can get this, do it. Use it for everything. Get a second product, get a third product. Leverage yourself, right? If you're doing your due diligence up front, there's never a reason why more availability of capital would not be a good thing for you, because it just means that you can make more profit. If you can't get the Chase Freedom Unlimited card, it's the best, no question. 10,000 reviews, 4.5 stars, very, very good. If not, right, there's PayPal business loans, fast access to fixed payment business loans from $5,000 to $500,000. There's also PayPal working capital, pay as you grow with PayPal working capital. Basically what this means is as you receive PayPal payments, they take a percentage of those payments and pay it back to the working capital loan. This one is better if you have a pre-existing business and you're taking money in on PayPal. You can take a loan out and then pay it off every time you get a new payment in from PayPal. And so this is a good one if you have a pre-existing business and you're accepting PayPal transactions. Cabbage is another one, right? It's the same thing. Kind of as the small business loan for PayPal. Again, guys, though, you don't want to do these without knowing what you're signing up for, because PayPal and Cabbage and every other loan person in the entire world charges you an APR, right? And so you don't want to be paying an APR that's going to be higher than your actual profit margin. So if you're estimating that you're going to make 40% profit margin, right, and you're going to make that in 3 months, maybe it still makes sense to take out a loan, even if it's like a 16% APR. So read the fine print, right? These are some much significantly less enticing options, but they are options that I've had students make work, right? Because if you're making a 40-50% profit margin on your product, then taking a loan out to get that product that you're paying 16% on, you're still obviously making an additional 30% profit that you wouldn't otherwise be making, and you're able to expand faster. But again, the best possible way and the best possible method that I've ever found is 0% APR credit cards. I know that I provided you value, so what I want you to do is to like this video. I want you to leave a comment on this video. If you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe, turn on notification bells so that you will be the first person to be notified every time we drop a brand new video. This is the fun part of the course. This is Amazon FBA product research. This is where the magic happens. This is where the money is made. So we are going to be focusing on viral launch for much of this course because it is the best software available now, right? Originally it was Jungle Scout, and now viral launch has just really been exploding and expanding, and their team is very passionate and they're just doing very big things. The main tools that we are going to be using for Amazon FBA product research are going to be called market intelligence and product discovery, right? We see that for $59 a month, you can get product discovery. If you pay monthly, annually, you can get market intelligence, sales estimates in the Chrome extension, and product discovery. You can get this all for $49 a month if you pay annually, or you can get it for $59 a month if you pay monthly, right? And so for our purposes, guys, all we need are these first two, right? Viral Launch is incredibly good at product research. For keyword research and all of this, we are going to save you guys some money, and we're going to recommend another tool when we get to it. But for most of the stuff that we're going to be doing for the entire course, right, as far as product research, photos, a lot of different things, Viral Launch provides the best service. The main things we're going to be concerned with are market intelligence and product discovery. As you can see, you get all of that for the intermediate pricing. Or if you want the category search, which is helpful as well, you can pay for the $79 a month option. But for most of us, right, what's going to be the best kind of deal is either intermediate or advanced, right? So one of these two. I generally recommend people who are serious about this to just go ahead and grab the advanced option. So this video is going to be kind of an introduction to what Viral Launch looks like. And how to reframe your mind. When I mean reframe your mindset, I mean going throughout your day, everything that I see and everything that I interact with, I think about Amazon FBA. And maybe that's unhealthy, but it's helped me become very successful selling on Amazon FBA. Like, for example, I'll go to like a Mexican restaurant and I'll see that like little rubber mat that like they have in the kitchen that people stand on that food falls in, right? Like a restaurant non-slip mat. Or I'll see like a little menu holder, like an acrylic menu holder, and I'll think to myself, could I sell that on Amazon? And you just take notes on my phone all throughout the day, and then I come back and I check on these products via Viral Launch to see if the landscape is competitive, right? We're going to look at how many monthly searches are they getting? How many reviews do they have? How many people are trying to sell this product? Is there room for improvement on this product, right? What are the negative reviews saying? Could I improve the quality of the product? Could I add something to it to bundle? And don't worry, we're going to talk about all this much more in depth as we move throughout this module, but it's just important to kind of get your mindset in a place where you're thinking about Amazon FBA, throughout your day-to-day life, because sometimes the best ideas will just come to you, right? So this is product discovery, guys. We can see right here, if we go to search, there's a couple of options up here. There's the normal product discovery, right? And what this means is you put in the categories you want to see. You put in, okay, I want to see products that have a minimum of $10,000 a month revenue. that have a minimum price of $15, that have a minimum review count, or excuse me, a maximum review count of maybe like 50 or 100 reviews or whatever the case may be. And then you press show products and it shows you, right? Keyword, actually you can choose the category. Similarly, you can choose the the maximum review count you want to see, the minimum average monthly revenue of all the products you want them to show you. And then instead of showing you actual exact products, they show you keywords, right? And this is one of my favorite ways to use Viral Launch. And we're going to talk about all of this much more in depth. This video is literally just meant to introduce you to like all that's available to you and all of the advanced filters. This is really where, you can kind of differentiate yourself from everyone else searching and really find the true diamond in the rough product. So we're going to focus on, how I use these a lot in a little bit. And then brand. So brand shows you actual brands that sell on Amazon. Obviously, like Nike is a brand, but they're not a brand that we'd ever want to compete with, but it's just an example of a brand. It shows like little companies that sell tea or, people that sell supplements or whatever the case may be. And you can jump very in depth on those brands and look at, their sales history, if they're improving or going down or what's kind of going on, and gives you a lot of ideas about what you could potentially, if you could potentially compete or create a product similar to what that brand is selling. And then category obviously shows you, in-depth categories, and you can take a look at things related to the categories themselves. So this is product discovery. This is a web app, right? You use it in by itself in a website right here. Market intelligence is actually a Chrome extension. So for example, if we come into Amazon and search garlic press, we would press this little button after we install the market intelligence Chrome extension, right? And it would show us all of the top sellers on page 1, right? So it's showing us Alpha Grillers is on page 1. They're doing about $22,000 a month, selling at $9.97, which means they have 2,255 sales every single month. We can see how many reviews they have, their review rate, right? Their review rating, like what their average reviews are. A lot of different stuff we can really see here. We can even see net profit estimates, but these are very, very inaccurate in all software, right? Viral Launch does a good job of this, but you can never rely on net profit because it's impossible for them to calculate that, for anyone to calculate that, because they don't know how much your cost of goods sold are. They don't know how much you're paying for shipping. So it's a good baseline, very, very general idea, but you need to do the calculation yourself. And we'll teach you how to do that in a little bit. We're using a tool called the Amazon FBA fee calculator. So this is the market intelligence Chrome extension, right? It's incredibly necessary to have both the product discovery and the market intelligence, right? The web app and the Chrome extension, because we're going to be using them all the time. If you want to go monthly, do monthly, right? If you want to go annual, do annual. But we're going to need it. It's one of the most important parts of the entire process regarding Amazon FBA. And we're going to be using it in all the rest of the videos throughout the entire course. And we're going to show you some really, really cool tricks how you can find, products doing $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, or even, $30,000 or more every single month, and how you can actually enter that market and make a bunch of profit. Let's get into Seller Central, guys. This is where the magic happens. This is where all the money is made with Amazon FBA. And it does look a little bit overwhelming at first, but I promise you guys, it's actually not that bad. And we're going to go through all the things that you're going to be able to need, that you're going to want to need most. You don't have to have your Seller Central name the same as the name of your LLC. Right? It can be different, but it is important for it to match. And we'll go into this more later on, is that your Seller Central name, right? The name of your store. And we can actually look really quickly at like an Amazon store, just so you guys kind of see what I'm talking about. So this is what an Amazon store is, right? Let's just type in malls. What you'll see is the name of the actual seller right here is Click and Play, right? And so that does not necessarily mean that their LLC is called Click and Play. It could, but it doesn't mean that. What's important is you want your Amazon Seller Central name, which you set up when you sign up for your account. You want that name to match what you trademark. And so they probably are going to trademark like Click and Play products, right? Like the actual word mark, which again, we'll talk about later on, so don't worry about it. But what this allows you to do is it gives you protection if your Seller Central name matches your trademark. If people are trying to hijack onto your listing, again, which we'll talk about in a little bit, It just makes things easier. When you register for a trademark, it allows you to get brand registered. It allows you a lot of protection against, scummy people who want to do you wrong on Amazon. If your Amazon Seller Central name matches your trademark. So don't worry about any of that right now. Remember, we're going to go through the entire course before we actually do or implement anything so we don't make mistakes. But it's just something to keep in mind that you want your Amazon Seller Central name to match what you're going to eventually file a trademark for to protect yourself from people that are trying to do you wrong. So this, guys, is Seller Central. This is actually a live account that I used to have. We had a couple of test products in here. This is going to be the Seller Central account that is actually going to be used throughout the entire course. So we see that we actually have some stuff live here. We're selling a conversion ping pong table set, which actually does incredibly well. We're selling a 24-inch round color spinning prize wheel, and we're selling some Moscow mules and some other stuff that are out of stock. And so this is Seller Central, guys. This is what you're going to see every single time you do log in. And so most of the stuff that we're going to be using, guys, is in the manage inventory right here, right? This is where you add products. This is where you add variations. This is where you do a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about a little bit later on. We don't often use this pricing dashboard because you can actually just set the price in the edit screen, which is how I do it myself and how I teach people to do it. Orders you don't really use as often. This is more for what's called FBM, right? Fulfilled by merchant. If you're actually like shipping out like handmade towels or something from, wow, my examples are so bad. If you're shipping out like handmade pillows from your house, right, and you're shipping them out one at a time, then you might use managed orders more often, or if you have to deal with like customer service and stuff like that. But this is more so for FBM, which is fulfilled by merchant. We are all doing FBA, which is the much more scalable option, right? Because if you FBA stands for fulfilled by Amazon, and so what that means is if you sell 1 unit a day or you sell 1,000 units a day, Amazon will fulfill all of those for you. You don't have to go to FedEx or UPS and actually package all of this stuff yourself. And so we're not going to use orders too much. Advertising and inventory are definitely the two things that you're going to use most often. We're going to talk extremely in depth about the advertising section later on in the course when we actually go into marketing. We're going to talk about how to sell things via Amazon's internal platform, Amazon PPC. All right, we're going to talk about how to sell your products on Amazon with Instagram. We're going to talk about how to sell your products on Amazon with Facebook ads, the best way. We're going to go super, super deep into marketing, and we're going to tell you everything that you possibly need to know about that. This is just meant to be kind of a introduction to Seller Central, just so it doesn't look as overwhelming, right? And then obviously you have some reports here, which we're going to talk about later on, and then performance if you ever have any issues like with your account or claims or anything like that. And so that, guys, is the overall kind of little tutorial. Really quickly, I want to jump into the edit section because, again, this does look a little bit overwhelming for people when they first start out, but it's actually not that bad, right? So this is where you put your title, very simple. This is where you put your manufacturer, your brand name, things like that. If you have any variations, but variations aren't available for this category, this is where you set your offer. If you want to put a sale price, right? If you want to say, well, it's normally $250, but we're going to have a sale price of $199, right? So Amazon would show a strike through here, and this would be the final price that your customer would pay. Most of this stuff is inapplicable to these type of products. Like if you're selling things with lithium ion batteries and things like that, or if you have applicable dangerous goods regulations, right? But that's obviously not applicable for a ping pong table. This is where you put your images, very self-explanatory, obviously. Your description, right? These are kind of like the bullets that show on an Amazon listing and things like that. And so this is where you put search terms and things. And that's pretty much it, guys. It's very, very simple. And most of the time that we spend in Seller Central, again, will be in the inventory section and in the advertising section. So that is your overview for Seller Central, guys. All right, guys. I hope you're ready to learn. I hope you enjoyed Module 1. I hope you just got absolutely flooded with good ideas on how to find your first profitable Amazon FBA product, because in this module, we're going to be teaching you how to find the best manufacturers in the entire world to actually create your product, right? Because the relationship that you have with your manufacturer will be one that is either very good or very bad. And I'm going to teach you how to guarantee, at least as much as it's possible to do, that your relationship is going to be a good one with your manufacturer, right? So this, guys, is Alibaba. For those of you who've never seen this before, welcome. Alibaba is a massive, multi-billion-dollar company created by Jack Ma and a bunch of other people. This is most of the things that you see in your house right now. Most of the things that you're probably wearing on your body were made from manufacturers that are listed on the site, right? This is basically like a massive directory of manufacturers, most of which are based in China, but there's also like Alibaba Vietnam and like Alibaba India, and lots of different kind of versions and outfits of Alibaba, because like I said, like they're mainly like a directory of manufacturers that can pretty much produce anything. So, you could do Alibaba Vietnam, Alibaba India, but most of the time I just use normal, good old fashioned Alibaba. And that's what we're going to talk about today, specifically how to find manufacturers and what to look for to, make the chances that your experience with a supplier is good, right? Supplier, manufacturer, kind of the same thing. What you don't really want is a wholesaler. You don't really want to work with any middlemen, right? You want to find the person that's going to give you the absolute lowest possible price, and you want to work with them, right? Because the lowest possible price means more profit. So let's actually dive in on exactly how we're going to find the best manufacturers in the world. So the first thing that I like to do is actually change this little thing right here, right? Because if you do by products or by suppliers, two things are going to happen. If let's, for example, say that I want to look up someone to make coffee mugs. If I type in coffee mugs, there's going to be literally 251,102 results for coffee mugs, which is absolutely insane, right? And so instead of doing it by products, right, because most of these listings are individual listings, many of which are actually created by the same supplier. So like you might say, okay, these 4 are perfect, so I'm going to reach out to all of these people. But what you might find out is you're sending 4 different emails to 4 different listings, but they're all going to the same supplier. So what I like to do instead is never ever choose wholesaler, just choose supplier, coffee mugs, and type in search, right? And now instead of 251,000 results, there's 1,902 suppliers, right? It makes it much easier, and significantly it'll save you a lot of time kind of doing it this way, rather than kind of wasting your time and sending 251,000 emails. This video is going to be about how to actually ship your products from China directly to the manufacturer inside of an Amazon FBA warehouse in the USA. And so how you actually have to do this is a little complicated at first for some people, but if you actually think about it logically, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because what ends up happening eventually is you need to have a barcode to send to your manufacturer to actually create like a little sticker and put it on each box so that your inventory is completely ready to be scanned in by Amazon when it actually arrives, because you're never actually getting the inventory. Like they don't ship it to you and you ship it to Amazon. Your manufacturer ships it straight to Amazon, and trust me when I tell you, you want it that way. And so in order to actually ship your products from China to the Amazon FBA warehouse directly, you have to have like all of your barcodes and things kind of figured out. And then you basically just send your supplier an email, with the carton labels and with the UPCs to actually put onto the product itself. And so how we're going to do this is we're going to go to add a product, and we're going to create a new product listing right here. And let's just use the example of a coffee mug. We're going to choose coffee mugs right here. And it auto-populates this little thing, this little kind of, template menu thing, vital info, right? Product ID. So there's a couple ways to do this. There's a way to do a GTIN exemption that we're going to talk about just briefly if you don't want to do UPCs, but most people do UPCs, right? So there's been arguments and controversy for literally like a year or more about whether or not you're supposed to use what's called GS1, which is Amazon's officially recommended UPC provider, but other people use other things that are significantly cheaper, right? And so if you see GS1 right here, 1 through 10 is $250 plus a $50 annual fee. So for 10 UPCs, and UPCs are just barcodes that every product has, right? Universal product code. So it's like $300 for 10 here, or if you use a different one for 10, it's $37 instead of 300, right? And so, you know, basically the summation of all of this controversy and what everybody's talking about is Amazon tells you when you try to create a product listing, like here, I'll use a UPC, and this is just the UPC that I bought from Nationwide Barcodes, right? From the much cheaper version. When I paste it in here, it says the validity of a product ID is checked against the GS1, GEPI, and ISBN databases. If your product ID is not registered with GS1, then the linked ASIN will be suppressed, and it may result in removal of your product creation privileges, right? And so this is basically a warning that says not to do it and that you should use GS1. If you want to err on the side of caution, right, use GS1. I personally still use Nationwide Barcode because I have, a bunch of them that I already bought, and it's literally like 10 times cheaper for Nationwide. And Amazon still allows me to create product listings using Nationwide barcodes, the cheaper barcodes, right? And I think it's very, very unlikely, personally, right, that Amazon is going to go and retroactively, mess around with listings that have used Nationwide or any of the other millions of UPC services, because it would just destroy their catalog. But if you want to err on the side of caution, right, then just get GS1 barcodes directly and pay the $300 and for 10 UPCs. And then, in the grand scheme of things, $300 is not that much money for, the ability to list 10 UPCs. Or if you want to save a little bit of money and, live on the wild side like me, then use nationwidebarcode.com. And these are actually purchase barcodes for Amazon. So if we come to the actual site itself, then you'll see barcodes for Amazon right here. And then it says the pricing right here, and you just choose how many you want, and that's it. So it's pretty easy. So the safe way is GS1 for 300. A little bit less safe way, but the way that I personally do is Nationwide barcodes for 37.50. And I'll continue to use Nationwide barcodes until Amazon literally does not allow me to create a product listing without using GS1. If they ever force me to use GS1, then, because at the time of making this video, you can still use and create Nationwide barcodes. We're doing it every single day, but Amazon may eventually, right? And I want to make sure you guys always know what to do. Amazon may eventually force you to use GS1, and then you'll just have to pay the more expensive price. Or, if they force you to use GS1 and you don't want to pay the more expensive price, you can research what's called a GTIN exemption request. We're not going to go into that because most people don't need it. But if they force you to do the GS1, you really can't afford the GS1, then just Google search or YouTube search how to do a GTIN exemption. It's a little bit more complicated, but it's a way that you can avoid paying the GS1 pricing if you really don't want to. Okay, cool. So we're gonna make this. We're just gonna say coffee mug for mom. We're gonna say the brand name is Coffee Mugs, Z's. The offer, and this isn't that important right now, because all we're doing right now is creating a listing so that we can actually get what's called the FN SKU, right? Because the FN SKU is what we're gonna have to send to our supplier. And once we send that to our supplier, then they're going to be able to print out little stickers that they're going to put on every single one of our coffee mugs. And then once they're sent from the manufacturer to Amazon, Amazon's able to actually scan all of those in. Right, so we're just going to put $19.99 here. We're going to put new. And the fulfillment channel, I want Amazon to ship and provide customer service for my items if they sell, right? This is Amazon FBA. I want to ship this item myself. This is Amazon FBM, right? Fulfilled by merchant. So we're going to save and finish here. Your listing is being created. This process may take up to 30 minutes. Please check back and change your listing fulfilled by Amazon at that time. So we're just going to press continue. Right, and I'm going to pause the video really quick, and then once it's actually up, then I'm going to show you guys the next step. All right, guys, so here's the listing that we looked at. So if we click this one right here, then we can do action on. And what we're going to do is, normally you do print item labels, but sometimes it gives you an error, right? So no items submitted. I wanted to show you guys that because I've just had so many students ask me about that particular error. So what we're going to do to fix that is click this little checkbox and then go to change to fulfilled by Amazon. Even though I know we selected that to start, it's like this weird thing that just happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to convert and send inventory and save and continue. It's just there below. This form has not been completed. Add dangerous good information. Is this product a battery? Just utilize batteries? No. Product regulation information. Is this product considered dangerous? Is there hazardous material? No. It's a copy mod. Submit. And now we're going to save and continue. So now what we're able to do, right, and we're going to actually go back into inventory because I'm going to show you guys how to actually send inventory in a second, because this is how you get what's called your carton label. So two things that you need to send to your manufacturer at the end of the day are your FN SKU, right, which is basically just like a little barcode like you see on any products, right? That's one thing. The second thing that you need to send is called the carton label. So let's say that you have like 100 coffee mugs. Each one of those 100 coffee mugs is in a little cardboard package. It has a little sticker with the UPC on it, right? And then let's say that 100 of those fit inside of one carton. Then you'd also need one carton label. So you'd have 100 little FN SKUs all printed on the box that the coffee mug is inside, right? All 100 all have their own little sticker. And then all of them are inside one carton, and then that carton has a carton label. And we're going to show you how to do both of those right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to print item label. And what we're going to do is go to print item labels right here. And so this is going to download something. And so we're going to send this to our manufacturer. And this is the little barcode right here that allows Amazon to actually scan this. So we're going to save this to our desktop. We're going to call this coffee mug FN SKU. And this is one of the two things that we need to send to our manufacturer. This is what goes on each individual cardboard packaging for every single one of our products. And so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go back to inventory here, and we're going to we're going to click this little box, and we're going to go to send replenish inventory. And this is going to open up the workflow for actually creating carton labels and telling them, what's going on with the shipping plan. So the two different things here, and I want to actually bring this up. Individual products, if your shipment consists of individual items with different SKUs and in different conditions, it's almost never individual products because it would be very strange to put different products in like the same cartons and things like that. Case pack products, if your shipment consists of cases previously packaged by the manufacturer that contain identical items with matching SKUs in the same condition, excuse me. So we're going to click this and we're going to go to continue to shipping plan. And what we're going to do is we are going to actually fill this out. So your supplier is going to be able to tell you how many units are coming, per case. They might say, yeah, well, okay, so 48 units fit per case, and you guys ordered 200 or whatever the case may be, so there's going to be a number of cases, right? So something that I like to do actually, and this is a good little note to take down, is you want to ask up front how many units are going to be in each case, right? Because and the reason that I say that is because if they say 48 units fits per case, but you order 200 units, then there's going to be that awkward 48 times 4, right? So there's going to be like 8 missing units, and then it just gets a little tricky. Instead, order 48. If they say there's 48 per case, right, or per carton, then order 48 times X, like the number of cartons that you want to reach that number that we taught you how to do when you're actually inventory forecasting and choosing how many products that you want to sell to be able to sell, and factor in giveaways for that 90-day or that 3-month period. So let's just assume that they said there's 48 units per case. And let's say that we wanted to buy, 48 times 4, then there would be 192 total units here. Your supplier is going to be able to give you the measurements in inches. I usually just keep it inches. They usually give it to you in centimeters, but I'll do inches. So let's just guess that it's 12 inches by 4 by 6, something like that, right? Let's say that it's 0.5 pounds. And again, your manufacturer is going to tell you exactly, what's going on with this. So you can just like literally enter it. So we're gonna go save, and then continue. And so we are going to prep this, right? Because how I prefer to do things is your manufacturer literally does everything. They package it, they put the UPCs, they put all the codes, everything that you need onto it, and then they just ship it completely finished and ready to kind of be ready to roll to the manufacturer. And so we're going to go to continue. And for this one, all products must have the scannable barcode for non-commingled products. An Amazon product label will need to be affixed to each unit. You can print off and apply the labels on this page, or have Amazon apply the labels for you for a fee. All right, so we're gonna go to continue, and it's going to create your shipping plan here, right? And you can call it whatever you want. You can say like coffee mug shipping plan. And then it's going to show you ship to LGBA Rialto, California, right? And so this is going to be the actual address that you're going to ship to. And so we're going to approve the shipment here. And then the kind of the last thing that happens here is it's going to give you the carton labels. Right, and all of this stuff you can actually just work out with your freight forwarder. And so I'm going to talk about exactly who we use and who we recommend for freight forwarding. But I would always check with your freight forwarder because to be perfectly honest, hate dealing with shipping, and I'm not a shipping company. But we're going to give you guys and introduce literally the cheapest, best quality shipping company that I've ever seen and that I've ever used and I've ever worked with. We're going to talk about that in a second. So we're just going to leave this how it is. How will this shipment be packed? We'll do multiple boxes. Right, and then how will you provide box content? You can use the web form. So you can basically just write the same thing, 48 units per box, number of boxes, box weight, right? They'll tell you all of this stuff, box dimensions. You could say 12, 24, 36, something like that. Confirm. So you can calculate the shipping charges here. And then this is basically going to give you your shipping fees. It's at X. I agree to the terms and conditions. And then you press accept charges, right? And then you can print the box labels here. And the box labels are your carton labels. So I'm not actually going to do this because this is just like an explanatory. This is just an explanatory kind of tutorial. I'm not actually creating the shipping plan. And Amazon would actually charge me if I click this button. But you just press this button, right? And then the last thing you do is print box labels. And the two things that you're sending to your supplier are the box labels or the carton labels or whatever you want to call it. And then also your FN SKU that we downloaded that I showed you exactly how to do. And those are the two things that your supplier needs to be able to, properly label all of your individual products and then properly label the cartons that your products are inside. So that is the shipping plan. That is generating an FMQ from a UPC, right? We talked about GS1. We talked about nationwide barcode. We talked about the GTIN exception if you're really not trying to use GS1 and they are disallowing sometime in the future using nationwide barcode. In this video, we're going to talk about how many units to order on your first order. Right, because this is a question I get all the time, and it's very important because I think a lot of people have this misconception that they should order 500 units, right, or 100 units or something crazy like that. And we're going to talk about mathematically how to break it down because it depends on what product that you're going to invest in, what niche that you found, what you think is going to be a good product after doing your due diligence, right? because whether it's a garlic press or something that sells much more popularly or something that sells much less so than a garlic press, obviously you'd want to order different quantities, bearing in mind the long-term storage fees of over 180 days. So let's teach you guys exactly how we're going to do this. So we are going to come in and type in garlic press, obviously, which would be like the highest volume keyword related to the garlic press niche. And what we're going to do is we're going to run market intelligence here. And we are going to take this whole thing right at the top, the first 16 on page 1, and we are going to export. All right, we're going to open this up, and let's take a quick look, right? Because what we're concerned with here is monthly sales. So monthly sales added up right here is 14,720. 14,720. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up a calculator and we're going to type in 14,720 and we're going to divide by 16. So that means that the average seller on page 1 sells 920 units per month. So if we divide that by 30, right, we see that they're selling about 30 a day on average, right? So if they're selling 30 a day on page 1, what I like to do, guys, and this is a general rule that I follow. You never want to be in stock longer than the 180-day long-term storage mark, because I showed you guys that the fees get like 20 times more expensive, and it's just crazy, right? You never want to be in stock less time than, I would argue, about 3 months, right? And the reason for that is because to get products made and to get them shipped from China on a ship available for sale in a warehouse in Amazon, I've found takes normally at the maximum about 3 months to do, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this 30 units per day times 3 months, right? 3 months times 30 days is obviously 90 days, right? Times this 30 here, we see is 2,700 units, right? And so I know that probably seems like a lot. I'm just going to actually write this out. 30 units a day times 90 days. Right? So 2,700 units probably seems like a lot because people have like this weird misconception in their brain that they want to do 500 units to start. But I've seen this happen so many times, like even with my students, because I know it's like hard and you have to, have a lot of faith, especially to invest more money and more units. But if you do your due diligence correctly and you're actually like eye tracking and doing the 999 card trick on like as many of these people as you possibly can, right? The way that I just showed you how to do is the fast way. It's how to calculate an average for sales. But if I was going to invest money, I would be checking, at least like the top 5 with the iTrack 99 cart trick method, because that's true source from Amazon sales data. And if you can get 5 of these guys into your iTrack and you can tell, okay, they had 100 yesterday, they have 70 today, they have 40 tomorrow, then they're obviously selling 30 a day. If you know for sure from the iTrack and the 999 cart trick method on like a niche that you're going to enter, I feel 100% confident making this calculation. I feel 75% confident using market intelligence. It's the best piece of software, right? I trust them a lot from a sales perspective. And if you average out everybody on page 1, it gives you a better idea of what's going on. And if you want to be super slick with it, you can exclude these little ones right here that are review outlier and sales outlier. So we see that they have 3,700 and everyone else has significantly less right here. And so, generally I'd like to err on the side of caution. And so I would probably take out like the top maybe 2 from a sales perspective that are high. And I might take out like the top 2 that are low. So we see that that one is pretty low and we see 220 is pretty low. So if we do this, and we export it, and this is like erring on the side of caution. I prefer to err on the side of caution, to be honest. We see now that I don't think those actually got removed. So this is or blue, so we'll just remove it manually. Or blue to Uber Chef Fleet and we delete Alpha Grillers, which is actually kind of sad, to be honest. And finally, we'll delete Sunkuku. Sunkuku. Okay, cool. So let's recalculate this and see how much it changes the average. So monthly sales, right? So now our new number is 8,256. 8,256, and we see that there is 12. So it's obviously going to be a lower number. Let's do 8,256 divided by 12 is 688 units per month. And if we do that divided by 30 days, you see it's 23 units, right? So 23 units per day times 90 days times 90 is 2,064. So it's 2,064 versus the original calculation of 2,700. And whether you like to go all in and bet on the fact that Amazon is a beast, which it obviously is, or you want to err on the side of caution, there's two different ways for you to kind of do it. I'm more so kind of in this boat just because I understand the power of Amazon now, especially with like holidays. If you have a giftable item, like I recommended that you should, with holidays, with Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, and especially obviously Q4 from December 1st till December like 21st or 22nd. Amazon is just freaking insane. Like it's unbelievable how Amazon is. Like your sales can 2x or they can 10x. And so this is generally how I like to do it, guys, when I'm kind of doing my calculations on how many units to order. The second thing to bear in mind, let's actually err on the side of caution. Let's decide that we chose 2,064 units, right? Because that's the 23 per day times 90 days. We have one more consideration. This is units to order, but we also have to think about giveaways, right? And what giveaways are is the way that you artificially boost your listing to page one. And things have been changing a little bit, but I really don't think that Amazon's going to be able to get away from giveaways. Giveaways are probably either going to stay similar to how they are now, or people are going to have to figure out how to sell their products at full price. And then people are going to be reimbursed on PayPal, and the same type of like sales velocity is going to happen. And if this sounds like complete gibberish to you, don't worry, because we're going to talk about this really in depth in the launch module of how to get your product to page one, because it's a super important part of being a successful seller on Amazon. So these are the 2,064 units, but we actually have to think about one more thing. A giveaway means that you're basically giving away units for free to trick Amazon's algorithm into artificially putting your product onto page one. And when people are searching for garlic press and they see your product on page one, as long as you have a few good reviews and you have a very well built listing with beautiful pictures and things like that, they're going to buy from you. And so what we have to do is do 7 days, right? Because most giveaways last between 3 and 7 days. I like to err on the side of caution here. So 7 days of giveaways times the 23 units per day is 23 times 7 is 161, right? Additionally, so we're going to type 161 here. And then we're going to add the 2,064. And so that's going to give us a final order amount of 22225. And that, guys, is how you do basic inventory forecasting. The biggest thing that would be a differential would be once you kind of understand what's going on with holidays. So, like for example, when we do inventory forecasting for one of my companies that's very gift oriented, we'll literally order 10 times as many units because we know we're going to sell 10 times as many units from December 1st to December 23rd. So 22 extra days. Instead of multiplying it by 1, we'll multiply it by 10 and we'll order that many more units. And so when you're first getting started, it's very, very difficult to do that. And so I generally recommend that you err on the side of caution unless you have some disposable income and you want to bet on Amazon, right? What you can do if you want to be a little bit more risky is you can come into like camel, for example, and let's just choose one of these really quick. So let's choose the good old alpha thrillers. I'm gonna grab the ace in here. We'll put this in. And then what we can do is we can look at the sales rank and we can actually look at when things spiked up. So if we look at May, October, March, August, right? So this is August of 2015. We see September of 2017 here. So we see that there's no major change for this particular product with the BSR. It's very, very consistently extremely high, right? So it's been selling a ton all year round. There's no major spike for Christmas. But like, for example, if we went in here and typed in like Christmas stockings or something like that, we might see something different. Let's take a look. We're gonna skip the sponsored ones and just come into this top one. Grab this here. And we're gonna paste in this ASIN into camel. And what I would expect to see is really high little rankings, yeah, right around Christmas. So you see that like in June, they drop all the way down to 810,000 in the bestseller ranking. But then right when it gets to November and December right here, it jumps all the way up to being like literally almost at number 1. Meaning that these are selling like absolutely crazy. Obviously all right around Q4 and Christmas time. This is an extreme example because it's literally Christmas stockings. But you can tell if things are seasonal around, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween, like Halloween costumes. Or I have friends who sell Halloween costumes. I have friends who sell paper plates that have footballs on them, and they sell them one time a year just for Super Bowl parties, and they literally make like hundreds of thousands of dollars in that one like week or two leading up to the Super Bowl because they just sell just an unbelievable amount of paper plates. And so that, guys, is how you do inventory forecasting. Again, just to kind of summarize, what we're doing is we're literally doing a kind of a viral launch. We're doing a summation of the amount sold, kind of taking out the outliers, dividing it by 30, right? Because these are monthly sales to get kind of a per day number of sales, just because it makes it easier. Obviously, you can just multiply it by 3 if you want also, but it just makes it easier for me to get per day because it helps with giveaways and things like that. Once you have per day, then I multiply it by 90 days because I like to have 3 months stock. I like to order 3 months stock because that's generally how long it takes to reorder. So once you kind of start to get low, a little bit lower, then you reorder, right? Once you kind of get that, once you get your feet wet, once you feel those sales, once you kind of start to see, okay, this does work, I can make a bunch of money doing this if I'm doing things correctly, then you'll start to get a sense of how many you're actually consistently selling, how many you start to sell for holidays and things like that. And then if you're riskier, you can look at camel and Google Trends and things like that to see and try to guess on maybe ordering more units. But sometimes it's fun selling out and just not having like the kind of stress and feeling like you're ordering way too much. And so that's kind of how you order for 90 days. You never want to reach that 180-day long-term storage, guys. Welcome to module 3, where we're going to talk about how to make a perfect listing, or as close to a perfect listing as it's possible to do. We're going to talk about a lot of different resources, the software that I use that is super, super key to creating, a fully optimized listing, kind of introductorily in this first video, and we're going to go much more in depth, in future videos about how to do these things the right way, like, how to create a title the right way, how to create backend keywords the right way, how to create your description the right way. We're going to talk about, where and how to get product photos done and a bunch of fun things like that. But first, we're going to literally create our listing. And we kind of did this a little bit just so we could get our FNSKU in the last module. But we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about how to actually do these things. And, specifically a few things that would just be very, very difficult to know to avoid as a beginner. I'm going to kind of tell you guys a lot of the things that I've learned over the years and all the mistakes that I've made and things like that, to save you guys a lot of time and energy, and headaches and stuff like that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a product. We're going to create a new product listing right here. The reason that it allows you to do it like this is if you're going to sell on someone's listing. So let's say that somebody's selling a garlic press. Amazon actually allows you as another seller to also sell on that person's listing, right? That's what most people commonly refer to as a hijacker. And so when you get a hijacker on your listing, it means that, they have the ability to price their products lower than yours and steal what's called the buy box, right? So if there's 10 different sellers on one Amazon listing, then who has the buy box means that when someone actually clicks, add to cart and buy, whoever concurrently owns the buy box, like, right, Amazon calls it the buy box, gets the credit for that sale and gets the money for that sale, right? So owning the buy box on your listing is definitely something that you always want to keep in mind. And so we're going to talk about the best ways to do that and the best ways, to actually combat when you do have a hijacker, all later in this module. But before we do that, we're going to talk about just a few simple things when it comes to actually creating the product listing. So we're going to click create a product listing here. We're going to do one just for a basketball because that was the first thing that came to my mind just now. You'll see that there's different categories here, right? For example, basketballs. Toys and games, sports and outdoor play, sports, basketball, basketballs, right? Or we could do sports and outdoors, sports and fitness, team sports, basketball, basketballs, right? In my mind, I would rather actually choose basketballs in sports and outdoors just because, basketball to me is more a sport than it is toys and games, right? These toys and games might be like little plastic basketballs or like the tiny ones that you shoot at like little tiny hoops that you like stick to your wall, right? So I'm going to choose this one, and you'll find that sometimes or always it's worth reading these like categories and subcategories because there'll be small differences, and you want to make sure that you're actually in the most accurate category, right? Because a lot of people teach that you can try to sneak into like these weird like secondary categories so that you can rank higher and get like the Amazon Choice badge. But Amazon has gotten so much smarter about this over the years that trying to outsmart Amazon by misappropriating where you actually should be categorizing your product in the long run is never going to benefit you. So how I teach it now, and I won't lie, like years ago it was better to try to like game the system and rank higher in like weird categories, get the Amazon search badge, and then switch your what's called a node, subcategory node. But Amazon has gotten much smarter and they don't allow you to do anything like that or change your subcategory node. So what we're going to do is just choose the most fitting selection here as far as categories. It's going to pre-populate us a listing right here. Right, so product ID, we're going to use a UPC here. And I already have this pasted. These UPCs I actually purchased from nationwidebarcode.com. Right, I'm not, and I already talked about this, so I'm not going to go super in depth. Amazon suggests that you should use GS1 barcodes. It's $300 for 10 GS1 barcodes. It is $30, $37 for 10 barcodes from Nationwide Barcode. In my experience, in the last 2 years, they've always worked exactly the same. Is Amazon eventually going to force you to use GS1? Maybe that time has not come yet, and so I'm not going to worry about it, right? And so we're gonna just put basic stuff here: basketball, manufacturer. This would be the name of whatever you want your Amazon store to be called, right? This is also going to be the same name of what you're going to get trademarked, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on as well when we get to the brand registry section. And so what we're going to put in for manufacturer is going to be the name. So we're going to pretend like I'm going to do coffee. We're going to sell everything coffee related. So we're going to do KD Coffee. KD Coffee. We're going to change this to Coffee Grinder. So KD Coffee. This is going to be the name of our Amazon store, right? So like a little link that's actually highlighted that you can click on and you can look at their product portfolios and things like that. This is also going to eventually be what we trademark. So we want it to be something, meaningful, to us. So coffee grinder, we're going to come back and actually recreate this product name, right? Because this is going to be our title. Variations we're not going to touch for now. Price is actually very important because Amazon has this thing called price band restrictions. And what a price band restriction means is if you set a price originally for your product, and there's other factors too, like the average price of your competition, but it's not as heavily weighted as your initial price you set. If you set a price at like $19 and then your product starts selling like crazy and you want to raise your price to like $49, Amazon won't let you do that. Okay? So the smart thing to do is set this original price at the most you could ever imagine selling your product for, right? And we've sold coffee mugs and wine glasses in the past during the regular year for like $14.99 or $19.99. And sometimes because of supply and demand, and because we were stocking out and things like that, we would raise them to just crazy prices like $69.95 or like $79.95, literally like 4 to 7 times more expensive. And so now every time that I'm setting an initial price, because you can actually lower it, but you can't raise it. So for a coffee grinder, and I'll literally open up Amazon here. Let's type in coffee grinder. I don't know why I'm spelling. So we see that there's the most expensive one I see is 40. Here's a $99.99. Here's $139. So I see $139. So let's see what their actual price is. This is probably the sale price. So this is their actual price. They set the price up. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set it at $139.90. And we're going to save it as new. And again, fulfillment channel, I want Amazon to ship and provide customer service for my items if they sell. This basically just means Amazon FBA, fulfilled by Amazon. Images, we're going to leave blank for now because we haven't had those actually made yet. And we're going to save and finish. So that, guys, is how you create a shell of a listing, right? We're going to get much deeper in this section of how to actually create the bullet points, right? And what I mean by the bullet points is like right here, right? They've done a terrible job here creating their bullets, but I'm going to show you guys how to do it right. We're going to show you how to make a fully optimized title. Again, they've done a terrible job here. No offense, Baratza, but we're going to show you how to do it the right way. And even this image could definitely use some work. This is a very boring image in my opinion. And so we're going to tell you the best way to actually get product photos done. And we have, of course, very, very steep discounts to have them done for you in the best possible way. So that, guys, is a very basic introduction as to how to create your product listing the right way, how to categorize it the right way, how to make sure that you don't end up facing, trouble with price band restrictions, which hopefully you'll never even have to think about if you watch this video and listen to me, but it has, it's devastated certain people outside of my course in the past. I've seen it all the time where somebody tries to raise their price and they lose their own buy box, right? Even though they're the only seller on a listing, they'll still lose their buy box. And I know that sounds crazy, but you guys will never have to experience it if you just set your price very high to start, and then we can lower it and we can set a sale price when the time actually comes. Well, we're going to be discussing how to get reviews and launch your Amazon products the right way to get to page 1 fast. And when I say get to page 1, I basically mean, when you type in garlic press, the first page that you see is, quote unquote, page 1. It's by far the most purchases for any specific product category or product keyword. They occur on page 1. Because if you see, nice looking products with good reviews, nice pictures at a reasonable price, you buy it. Right, most of the time you don't scroll to page 2 or scroll to page 3 or anything like that. And so kind of how this process works, guys, and it's very important to understand this, is kind of in a sequence of 4. The first step is setting up your email sequences. Email sequences basically like once somebody purchases from you, you can send them automatic emails saying like, hey, thanks for purchasing that awesome garlic press. I hope you like it and enjoy it, right? And then 3 days later you can say, by the way, if there's any issues with it at all, like feel free to email us, right? Because if you can get people to email you rather than, leaving a negative product review if they have some like small issue or it breaks or something, it's almost always worth it to do that. And then you can send one 5 days later, 7 days later, like asking for a review and things like that in the right way. And so we're going to talk about like some tricks and some hacks that I've learned over the years to actually set these up kind of correctly and, just do things in a way that's going to prompt the most interaction from the customer. Because if you can get people to interact and actually open and read your emails, they're going to be much, much more likely to actually purchase, or excuse me, to actually, leave you a review and things like that. And so how it works, guys, is you set up the email templates. Once you set up the email templates, then the next step really is getting those first initial reviews, because getting the first initial reviews is very, very difficult. The best ways to get reviews, right, are through the Amazon Early Reviewer Program. This is the best way to get reviews. Basically, how it is Amazon incentivizes people who purchase from you to actually leave a quote unquote honest review, and Amazon gives them like a $1 to $3 Amazon gift card for doing that. Basically, it gets you up to 5 reviews, and they incentivize people with $3 gift cards. You aren't charged until you receive a review through the program, and enrollment covers an entire SKU variation family. Amazon offers rewards, blah blah blah. Okay, cool. So you basically pay, I think it's $60 to get your first 5 reviews. They're very important. Having reviews is very important for when you actually like launch and go live and things like that. And so you want to set up your emails first so that every customer who buys from you actually gets your follow-up emails and is much more likely to review and do the things that you want. And then you set up the Amazon Early Reviewer Program, because as people start to buy from you, the Amazon Early Reviewer Program will incentivize them to leave reviews that are okay by Amazon, because Amazon has become increasingly, strict and, for lack of a better word, whack AF about reviews, and they've been really clamping down on everything related to reviews. And so we're going to go through, the best service that is coming up with some very intuitive and innovative ways to help collect reviews, because nowadays, getting a review is almost basically contingent on having a full price sale. So like when you're running giveaways and things like that, those reviews have been sticking and less and less. And what I mean by giveaways is, incentivizing people to purchase your products by offering them at like 95% off or whatever it is. We're going to get to all that later on. I just want you guys to kind of understand the process. So email sequence first, so everyone gets your emails. They're much more likely to leave reviews. And then you want to set up the Amazon Early Reviewer Program, right? Then you actually set up your giveaways. So under advertising here, we're in promotions. We're going to talk about giveaways. And so basically the giveaways that we're going to be using are, percentage off giveaways, where you can, where you can say, okay, well, this product we're offering, 100 of them for 95% off. And the reason that you do that is by basically you trick Amazon's algorithm into thinking that you're having sales every day when really you're giving away products because they register the same. Amazon has recently changed some of how they actually interact in that way. And what I mean by that is, you used to be able to, like, let's say that the person in the first position on page 1 was selling 10 units a day. You used to be able to give away 11 units a day for anywhere between 3 and 7 days, and then you'd outrank them because Amazon would say, okay, well, you're selling more than they are. That has changed recently, and Amazon has still not settled on what they're going to do. And so, the service that we've been using is kind of the leader at this, where, they're mixing in some external traffic. Amazon heavily rewards external traffic, mixing in some full price, quote unquote giveaways. And how that happens is somebody buys your product for full price, and then, you reimburse them. You basically pay upfront to this service, and then they reimburse all those people who buy your product at full price. And then you basically pay them back. And so we're going to talk about all of that later on. I just want to introduce this. So the next part obviously is promotions. We'll set up promotions. And then the last part is turning on PPC when you launch a product, because you want to, once you have your email set up, once you have your Amazon Early Reviewer Program, once you set up your promotion and you're starting to run it, then you want to turn on PPC. Once you're starting to get some organic rank, and Amazon's trying to figure out what to rank you for as you're starting to launch and launch your product and run giveaways, you want to launch PPC kind of at that same point. Once you have, I start PPC immediately. Some people recommend starting PPC once you have like between 1 and 5 reviews. Obviously, you're gonna waste a little bit more money starting PPC immediately, but I just do it because I'd rather launch a day faster and waste a little bit of money than not waste anything and launch once I have reviews, because it can take like 3 to 5 days, or even longer sometimes to get your first review with the Amazon Early Reviewer program.
I know that I provided you value, so what I want you to do is to like this video. I want you to leave a comment on this video.
If you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe, turn on notification bells so that you will be the first person to be notified every time we drop a brand new video. If you want to learn more, I do have a completely free course, and there will be a link down underneath this description, guys. Completely for free, 100%. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and let's get to the next.